Hi, I'm Lisa, and I want to tell you how I got revenge on my ex-boyfriend Mark after he cheated on me with the one girl I hated more than anyone else, Clarissa. I used to be really good friends with her until 10th grade when she suddenly turned into a complete bitch. I told her I had a crush on Adam and asked her to keep it secret, but instead she got up in front of our class and told everyone that I was in love with him. Then she asked, "Who wants to date Lisa?" And everyone screamed, "No one!" I don't know why she hated me so much, but she turned everyone in our class against me until the only person who still talked to me was Mark. We started hanging out together, and eventually we became a couple. Nobody understood why Mark would want to date me. He was popular and sporty while I was the weird girl no one liked. But Mark always said he didn't care about the opinions of others. We were dating for a couple years when I got a Facebook message from Clarissa that changed everything. She wrote, "Your boyfriend says I'm better in bed than you." I got so mad. I wanted to take a knife and go all psycho on both of them, but obviously I didn't. Instead, I came up with a better plan. I needed to know if Clarissa was telling the truth, so I stopped sleeping with Mark, telling him I had a headache whenever he wanted sex. Then I poked holes in the condoms he kept in his wallet so I could see whether they had been used or not. I started checking his wallet at least once a week, and there was always a brand new condom. So Clarissa was telling the truth. I didn't know what to do, but then Mark told me he wanted to break up because we weren't having sex anymore. I got really angry and said he didn't deserve me anyway because he was cheating on me with Clarissa. He looked shocked and asked me how I had found out about it. I said, "Clarissa told me on Facebook that you were having sex together, so I poked holes into your condoms to see if you're using them." Oopsie. Mark completely freaked out and screamed, "You did what?" He looked seriously upset, like he might even hit me, so I quickly got out of there. Now I'm dating Jake. He's a total sweetheart and completely faithful, and I wish I had left Mark right when I found out about him and Clarissa, because you will never believe what I saw when I checked Clarissa's Facebook. There was a photo of her and Mark with their newborn baby. Since Mark and I had only split up 7 months ago, I guess my condom trick worked better than I expected. At first, I felt amazing, and I wanted to tell Clarissa that she only got pregnant because of me, but then I started to think about what might happen if I did. Maybe Clarissa would hate the baby, maybe even give it away. Then it hit me. I had destroyed 3 lives. Mark always said he didn't want to have kids until his 30s, so he could focus on becoming a professional soccer player. Instead, now he's a dad at 19. Suddenly, I felt ashamed. I wanted revenge so bad that I didn't think about the consequences. If I could take back what I did, I would. Because if everyone behaved like I did and messed with other people's lives, nobody would trust anyone. That's not the world I want to live in. All I can say is, I'm sorry. I promise to not do something so stupid again. At least they look happy in their photo, and I really hope they stay that way because I want them to raise their baby with love. If you have a story that you want to share with the rest of the world, please send it to our email. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.
I was 12 years old and brought up in a small village inside Siberia. My parents were very poor and told my sister and I that they didn't have enough food for both of us to make it through the winter. I didn't quite understand what they meant, but the next day, my dad told me to follow him into the forest. We walked for 2 days, deeper and deeper through the endless Siberian wilderness. I asked my dad where we were going, but he wouldn't tell me. At one point, we stopped, and my dad said, "Take some rest under the tree." I laid down, and exhausted from our long walk, I quickly fell asleep. When I woke up again, my dad was gone, and the night was at its darkest. I heard wolves howl not far away and climbed up the tree I had slept under to be safe from the creatures on the ground. I waited for 1 whole week, hoping my dad would come back and take me home. But he didn't, and each day winter came closer. I knew I had to find my parents or I would die. My clothes were so thin. There was no way I'd survive the snow. I decided to just start walking, even though all directions looked the same. After a week, my feet hurt so much, I took a 2-day rest near a river. But then I heard a noise from something coming towards me. Was it my dad? Or was it some animal? I laid down flat, waiting to see what it was. A big brown bear appeared. It was sniffing and had caught my smell, because it was walking right towards me. I stood up and ran to the closest tree and climbed it. I thought I was safe, because I didn't know bears could climb trees, but they can, and much better than humans. My only advantage was me being lighter than him. So I went to the highest and thinnest branch I could reach, but the bear was very hungry, and followed me right to the top. It was less than a meter away, and the whole tree was bending dangerously. But suddenly, I was close enough to a nearby tree and swung myself over there. I landed safely even though I suffered many scratches. Meanwhile, the branch I had jumped off swung back and caused the bear to lose its balance. He fell all the way down, at least 12 meters. I could see it was still moving, but it was unable to stand up again. That was my chance. I went to the ground, took the biggest stone I could pick up, and went to the bear. I saw the fear in its eyes. The small girl had won against the beast. Smash. Afterward, I found a sharp stone, and for 3 days, I skinned the bear. It gave me a nice pelt to keep me warm during the cold nights, and I turned my old shirt into a bag to carry the bear's meat. Then I continued to walk for weeks and weeks, not seeing a single other human being. By now it was November, and snow was laying everywhere. The only thing that kept my feet from freezing were the shoes I'd made from the bear's pelt. As I continued walking, the landscape changed from endless forests to endless grasslands. I had no more bear meat, and I was close to starvation. But then I saw a weird-looking tent. I went to its door and said, "Hello," in Russian. An old woman came out. She looked different and said something in her own language. Then she brought me inside and fed me bread and cheese. This is where my life with the Mongolian nomads began. Within a few months, I learned to speak their language and became part of their family. They treated me well, but I also learned that they had planned to marry me to their son. But I didn't like their son. He was a mean bully who enjoyed stealing the eggs of birds and throwing them against stones. Sometimes he even pulled my hair if I did something he didn't like. I knew the only way to escape my planned marriage was to run away. Luckily, I'd found a map at the shop of a nearby village. It was a map of all of Asia, and there, I learned that I had walked more than 1,200 miles from my Siberian village to the Mongolian nomads. I bought the map from the shop, and while it was night, I snuck out of my tent. I took 1 cheese wheel with me, and stole 1 horse to bring me back home. But after 3 days of riding the horse, we reached the endless Siberian wilderness, and it struggled to walk through the dense forest. That's why I let it go, and continued to wander on my own. Now all I had was my map, my cheese, and a spear I had made to defend myself in case another bear attacked me. But with my map, it took me less than 3 weeks to find my way back to my home village. Tears came to my eyes when I saw my parents' small wooden hut. I was nervous seeing them again, because I didn't know if my parents wanted me back. I opened the door anyway, and I saw both my parents sitting on 2 wooden chairs. They looked so much older, and when they noticed me, my mom said, "Who are you?" I said, "It's me, Anna, your daughter." My mother jumped up and said, "Anna?" I ran up to her and gave her a long hug. I said, "I missed you so much." But then I turned to my dad, the man that had abandoned me in the wild. I saw he had tears in his eyes, and then he said, "I'm so sorry for what I've done." I had never seen my father cry, and I knew that he really was sorry. I asked him where my sister was, and he said she didn't make it through the winter. Then he brought me to her gravestone. I broke down and cried. I had lost my sister and my best friend. The next few days, my dad kept apologizing for what he had done to me, but I forgave him because I knew he didn't have another choice. Had I stayed with them, I would have ended up like my sister. I lived with my parents for 3 more years until I turned 17. But because we barely had money or food, we decided I should move to Moscow. For a few weeks, I worked as a waitress, but soon I found a better job working as a model. Suddenly, I was making enough money to afford going to university. And right now, I'm studying English and planning to move to a Western country someday. I just want a secure job that pays enough to have my own family, and that allows me to send some money back to my parents.